Hello, Global Business Academy Expo people. How are you all? Welcome to this amazing expo that Lucia has put together. I just want to say thank you for joining me and for being here today. I'm simply setting up my system over here. All right. Hi. I've got a question for you. Are you bogged? Can you tell I'm a country kid? Are you kind of stuck though? Like, are you sort of feeling like you want to make progress forwards and you don't really know how? I've got some stuff that I want to share with you that I have used for myself to help, hello Lucia, to help get you moving forwards so that you can actually create the life and the success that you truly want, and the impact, leave the impact and legacy after your time is done on this earth that you know that you are capable of leaving. But first of all, I want to do a couple of very important things. Firstly, I want to acknowledge the traditional owners on the land in which each of us are standing right now. Now, for me, I'm on the border of two separate areas. To the east of me are the Gayabal and Yarrawa people, and to the west of me is the Yagara, sorry. No, other way around. Yagara are to the east and Gayabal and Yarrawa are to the west. My apologies, but I want to say thank you to those people who have taken such beautiful care of our country and who have been custodians of the land on which we stand. And I acknowledge their elders, past, present, and emerging. Now, I want to share something with you that is an image that I've used to help people to understand what it is that I do, how I do it, why I do it. So just give me a moment while I actually share this screen with you. Where are we? In amongst this, I'll give you a little bit of context as to who I am and why on earth I'm sharing this stuff with you, okay? So let me just get out of the way here. All right, from the beginning, this is when I'd love to have my second screen, but not today. That's okay. So here we go. Dream, success, and confidence. And here we are at the Global Business Academy Virtual Expo. So exciting. Now, Oprah Winfrey, amazing human being, man alive, as that woman created a phenomenal impact in this world. Hi, Lorraine. Hello to people who are watching. And I'm so grateful that you're here. I've got my phone over here to monitor questions. I will be checking in every so often, but not massively. Oh, so many people on here. Wonderful, wonderful. All right. So you get in your life what you have the courage to ask for. Absolutely. And if you haven't worked that out yet, please sit and really pay attention here. We can literally have anything that we want. We can create it. We can't necessarily have everything at the same time, but we can absolutely have everything that we want. You must first have the courage to ask for it, but let me get a little but into here. You can't ask for something if you're not aware that you actually want it. If you can't actually verbalize it, if you can't clearly define it, if you can't confidently express what it is that you're looking for, then you can't actually ask for it. And so the likelihood of you receiving exactly what it is that you want is highly unlikely. Now, how do I know this? Because I've lived this. I have done this. I've watched people around me who have gotten exactly what they wanted in this world. And I'm like, how did you do that? And this was the big difference, is that they were super, super clear on what it is that they wanted, why they wanted it, what it needed to look like. And as they asked for it and as they worked towards it, because there's a whole, as we ask for it, we've also got to put the action in. But in that process, they have been really clear on asking for exactly what they want. And over time, that's exactly what they've ended up with in their life. There's this amazing story of John Assaraf, I don't know how to say his surname. Anyway, globally recognized guru in like personal development stuff. And he talks about how he and his family like moved into their dream home and were unpacking their boxes one day. And he went through this whole box that he had of his vision boards. And they'd been packed away for years and years and years. And one of the things that he did, he pulled out one of his boards, and on that board from years ago that he hadn't even really looked at was a photo of the exact house that he and his family had just moved into, right? He was so clear on what he wanted that when he put it and he, asked for that from the universe, It happened. It came into his world. He made that happen by working with the powers that be, but also by being really clear on what he wanted. Now, this is something that honestly, so many of us don't actually do this enough. We will spend so much time, as a general rule, myself included, I've been guilty of this. We will spend so much time planning important things in our world. Like for me, my wedding, holy smokes, the hours I put into my wedding 20 something years ago, but still we will put time into planning birthday parties and holidays and house renovations, all those things that are beautiful elements of our world, but very few of us take the time to truly design our life. And this is where the challenges come in. Let me take you through a little example to explain this a little bit more. There are three key steps involved in designing your dream life. First of all, you need to unpack your past. It's really important to be aware of where you are and also acknowledge what you have already achieved. Then as we go through this process, because this is really a process that I take you through when I run my dream board workshop, but I'll share more about that in a minute. Then it's time to assess your present, where you are right now, what you love, what you don't love so much, what's kind of okay, how we can tweak things. But it's a really important step in the process before we then design the future that you truly want to live. Okay, so there's three really, really important steps, and I'll share a little bit more about that in just a couple of minutes' time. But let me take you to this image next. This is the beginning of what I call my dream tree framework. Now, we've all seen trees like this, right? This was an image that I had an artist create for me based on a gum tree, and I absolutely love this image. It's actually very similar to my favorite tree from home. And yes, I have a favorite tree. To give you a little bit of context, I grew up on a cattle property between Tyrone and Roma in sort of southern central Queensland. My family have been there for my whole life, and they are still there. My dad has been there for his whole life and is still there. The rest of my family, literally the way that they are happy in this world is when they're doing something with cattle. And I love that. I love that they are so clear and so directed and so happy with what they're doing. I love the rural life, and I've lived that myself, and I fully expected to marry a grazier and end up, well, otherwise known as a cow cocky, and end up on the land. But that's not how my life turned out. And you know what? I'm incredibly grateful, because I love the land, but if I had gone and lived there, I wouldn't be able to live the life that I'm living right now. But that's a kind of diversion. I'll come back to that in a minute. When you're looking at a tree, you and I both know that tree, what you're seeing here is what's visible to the world. You've got the tree, you've got its branch, they've got the trunk and its branches and that beautiful canopy. And in this case, this tree has been used to help build part of a boundary fence, right? And now this is something that used to be really common, not quite so much these days, depends where you live. But when we were building fences when I was a kid, if there was a tree that was in the path that was along the fence line, then that tree became one of the posts, right? And we would wrap the wire around it and keep on going. And the tree became a part, because the trees are strong. They are strong and they are resilient. And it would also make, if you were way away across the paddock, it gave you a good marker to know where the edge of the paddock is too. So the tree in this case is a part of that boundary, and all this is going to become a little bit more relevant in just a moment. Now, you and I both know that underneath that amazing structure of the tree there is this phenomenal root system. And that the root system, honestly, in most cases, is probably double the size of this image right here. Most trees have a root system, a framework underneath them that supports them that is double the size of the canopy that you can see and the tree that you can see above the ground, right? So literally from a horticultural perspective, that's what exists. Now, we also know that how healthy that tree is, how well that's producing, how well it's in the case of a gum tree, how well it's growing, how healthy the leaves are, how many nuts and flowers it's creating. That's all dependent on how well that framework underneath, that structure of the root system is nourished. Now, I want you to flip this back to you as an individual. This is what the world sees. The tree trunk is you as a human being. The canopy is the life that you've created. Now, my question to you is right now, are you absolutely so happy and satisfied and excited and invigorated by the life that you have created? Can you honestly say yes to all of those questions? Are you living the life that you dreamed of? And have you got more things coming that are going to make your life even more amazing? Now, I can't answer that for you. That's up to you. What I can say, though, is that what you are living right now, in the majority, most of us are living the life right now, myself included, that is what we dreamt of about 5 years ago. Here's the thing. What did you say, Lucia? I hear so many individuals do not understand this about trees, Terri. Really? Okay, you know what? It's amazing when you find out what we don't, what we know that others don't know. Does that make sense? I don't know. I guess because trees are really important in the management of land that you graze cattle on, because they're needed to reduce erosion and shade for the cattle and all sorts of things. Like they're such an important part of the ecosystem that I've always known that a tree root ball is so big. But anyway, that's, if I've just taught you something, then that's fantastic. Please be aware of this. Anyway, let me jump back on track. So most of us are living the life that we dreamed of 20 years ago. Now, is this all you want? And if that's okay, if this is fantastic, well done, congratulations, you've obviously put a lot of work in, and here you are. In the majority, though, most people are looking for something more, but they're stuck. They don't know how to get it. And here's the thing. If you will go into your dreams, go into all of those things that you thought about and you've planned about, and all those, where I talked about unpacking your past, there's a whole lot of dreams in your past that you've probably forgotten about. Or maybe you've started working on them and you didn't actually finish off the job, and so they haven't come into physical reality yet, right? So there's a whole process within here of nourishing this framework that underpins you as a human being, so that you can create that canopy up the top here that gives you the life and the lifestyle and the impact and the legacy that you truly want to create. Now, let me give you a little bit of, I'm just going to stop my share for a moment now. So let me just give you, backtrack a little bit. As I mentioned, as in terms of, I want to give you a bit of context as to why this is something that I share and why it's important to me. As I mentioned, I grew up on a cattle property. I have been literally involved with business since the day I was conceived, let alone the day I was born. My first memory of of consciously making my own sort of business decisions, I was 3 or 4 years old. It was definitely before I started school. And my dad had taken me to the local sale yards. And now this is there were lots of things that are unusual about this day. But Dad took me to the fat cattle sale, which was in town, because we were selling some cattle there. And a calf had been born overnight. Now, cows identify their calves by their smell. This calf had been born in the stockyards. And so there's all these smells from all these animals in the stockyards. And because of that, this calf started to smell like lots of other animals, and so its mother rejected it. Now, this is a really common thing, so don't get upset with the cow. This is her doing her thing. This is a really common thing when calves are born in the stockyards. Anyway, here's this little calf, brand new, still wobbly legs, the whole lot. And I remember poking my head through the rails because I wasn't high enough, and I bid on this calf and I bought it. Now, that calf's name was Ping Pong. We took her home, we raised her up. She became the foundation of my cattle herd. And to this day, there are still, I can trace back through all the genetics to where, and all the different deals that I did with Dad, to where Ping Pong actually sort of started the whole thing for me. Now, we didn't get special treatment in the cattle business. We just did what we did, and it got to teach us so much stuff about delayed gratification and about how to, consequences of your choices and all these different things, right? There's so much comes into the learning of just life when you are involved in business like that. Anyway, so fast forward that about 25 years, and here's me living down here in the Lockyer Valley where I live now, and raising our children. My husband has come from a family where they've always worked a job, and he's always worked a job, and probably while he might set up a side hustle thing of his own, he's not ever has no desire to ever start a business like I have with 10,000 Dreams a few years ago. It's just simply not something that is a part of. When you look at his dreams, when they look at that big framework that underpins his world, it's not there. He doesn't want it, and that's okay. What he wants is different, and it's equally important. It's just unique to him. Me, I've always wanted to be in business. I hated working for other people. I wanted the control. I wanted to be able to do things on my terms. It was really, really important to me. However, for a really long time, I focused on being a stay-at-home parent to our children. And in that time, while I had these little tiny micro businesses, I made the very deliberate choice to not start a significant business and not go into management roles, etc., that I was capable of, because I wanted to focus on our children. And for myself and for my husband, that was the most important thing. And I am incredibly grateful that I did that and that I had the opportunity to do that, and I was supported through that process. However, I ended up really unhappy. I got really depressed, literally. I ended up on medication. I ended up needing to see your psychs and all the rest of it, because I suppressed so much of who I naturally was for the sake of what I believed was the greater good at the time. We don't know what we don't know. If I'd had my time again, I might have changed it. I might not, because quite frankly, my children are amazing. Our life is amazing. If I'd had something different had happened in that path, I wouldn't be here. But I do know that at that time, I was desperately unhappy with my world, because here was me thinking that if I was a parent to my children and didn't have a significant professional outlet, that would fulfill me enough. I expected that of myself, that this would be everything that I needed. And the reality is that it wasn't. But it took me a long time to identify that, because I hadn't spent enough time working out my own dreams, on getting really, really clear on that. So I changed some things. I put in some new boundaries. Boundaries are so important. When you want to change stuff, you've got to change stuff. If you want things to change in your world, you've got to change things first within you, in terms of what you do, how you do it, the boundaries that you set. All of those other elements tie into creating that canopy that we saw in that Dream Tree framework, right? But if that root system and that framework underneath the dreams, if those dreams are not clear to begin with, none of this other stuff is going to come into reality in the way that you want it. It just doesn't. It can't. So keep going a couple more years, and I've eventually got to this realization that when I was having conversations with my friends who were in business, that the stuff that we were talking about and the ideas that I was sharing and the ways that I looked at stuff, that was helping them. They would take that information and they would take it back to their businesses, and I watched them create this phenomenal change. And they'd come back to me later on and I'll go, oh yeah, that's because of the stuff you said, right? Which I love. I completely love that. I love the fact that these people created a business and a life that they're so much happier with because they chose to take action on a conversation that we had, right? And it just lights my fire. I love this. And eventually I worked out that this is what I'm really supposed to be doing in this world. Hello, wake up, Terri. Eventually I did. So here I am. So now what I do is I help people who are stuck, who are bogged, who are not happy with what they're doing. And I help them get to where they want to be. How? Using that Dream Tree framework that I said, and applying that in different ways. So there's a few different ways that I do that. I've got my dream board workshops where I teach people how to create really effective dream boards. And I've got a coaching program that has one-on-one and group stuff. And I also do retreats that are relevant. There's two different styles of retreat that are relevant to different clients, depending on where they are, who they are, what they're looking for, right? But I want to share a story with you, because this I think demonstrates so much of the stuff that I just, oh man, the things I do. I have a client who's still working with me. I'm going to call them Peter. Now, Peter has worked with me so far for about 6 months. Now, this person, when they started with me, they began with the one-on-one coaching, and then they progressed into my mastermind, which is a small group work with up to 8 people in it. We meet once a month. Sorry, that's wrong. We meet once a week. This is about ongoing support and helping you create the change and keeping you accountable to create the change that you've actually said that you wanted, because it's all well and good to sit there and go, oh, I want this. Yes, I want that. But if you don't actually take the action, if you don't follow through, and if you don't test and measure, and if you don't tweak what you're doing to make sure you get the results that you want, you can say, I want this till the cows come home. But the cows aren't ever going to come home because they don't know where they're coming home to. And what you're looking for won't actually come into this world. You won't create that reality that you're looking for. You've got to put action behind all of these things. And so a big part of what we do with the mastermind is this ongoing support and ongoing accountability. Now, as a part of this person's package, when they signed on with me, they also had a ticket to the Dream Board workshop. Now, these workshops, they're a half-day event. I run them as a hybrid event. So what does that mean? It's online and in person at the same time. I love that. Love it. Because I love doing online in-person events, but I understand that geography is a challenge, right? So I run it online at the same time, and people can join us via Zoom, or they can be in the room if they can get to where I hold them in Toowoomba on an ongoing basis. So about, I want to say about a month ago, this person, Peter, came and attended this workshop and created a dream board finally, because in amongst their journey, it's been a real challenge to get Peter to commit to a specific goal and specific, there's lots of things here, right? But Peter has just been reluctant to actually state exactly what they want for a whole collection of reasons. And as we went through this process in the Dream Board workshop, and this is like a 5-hour workshop, right? So it's lots of content, lots of high level stuff, but by the end of it, if you haven't actually created a dream board for yourself of the life that you're wanting to design and create, like that future that you're designing, if you haven't actually got it created, you'll know how to, and you'll have all the tools with you to be able to finish that off. And this person finished off their dream board, and oh my goodness, you should see the shift that has happened in them. In the process of our mastermind, we have been working on creating a residual income stream in their business, because prior to that, all of their work was like hours for dollars stuff in terms of both services and retail. But there was this component that, you know, if they stopped working, the income stopped. Now, yes, that's most businesses, but you can, in many instances, you can also set up residual income streams, which will still take some work to maintain them, but it will also create an ongoing stream for you with very little input once it's established. And this is what this person has done. Since doing the Dream Board workshop, they have finalized this package. They have offered this package to a specific client group of theirs. And right now, 100% of those people that this package has been offered to have taken it up. Now, I don't know about you, but I've just gotten goosebumps, this whole thing, right? Because I am just so excited for their progress. I'm so excited to see where they're going. And I know that this is the very beginning of them setting up a business that is truly strong. It will be resilient. It will be able to generate income whether or not they are in the business at the time. Certainly, if they're there, their business income at this point with the structure that's set up is going to be higher. But right now, they are on the path to really creating a solid, sustainable, predictable business for themselves that will create an income regardless of what they do. And that is freedom. Because I don't care who you are, when you are on this earth, the quality of your life, like money and your income impacts that. Oxygen is number one, but honestly, money is like number two in terms of influencing what we can choose. I'm not driven by money. I'm driven by choices. But I know that if we don't have a consistent income stream that is of the size that we want, that will create the life that will support us in the way that we want, that our life becomes less than what it can be. There are lots of things in this world that are free, but, you know, healthcare, quality of housing, all those other sorts of things, like whether or not you can choose to do the experiences you want, that depends on whether or not you've got the income. So what I'm helping my client to do is to set up these income streams to the point where they will create, as a bare minimum, those cover all those expenses that will fund the life that they truly want. And then all the rest, well, that's cream that they can do whatever they like with, right? Anyway, here's the thing. If you would like to do this dream board workshop, I have a special expo offer for you. If you go into my album, you will find the dream board workshop already in there, and you can click through and you can buy a ticket. The next one is running on the 4th of November. It's $97. If you go in there, buy a ticket and put in this special code that is an expo only code, it is expo20. I'll put it in the comments so that you can copy it across. But if you put in the code expo20, that will give you $20 off this workshop. So it will only be $77 for you to join. You can either, like I said, join me in Toowoomba, or you can join me online. It doesn't matter where you are. I've already got people in the UK and in the Netherlands who are joining me for this workshop. Jump in there. Let me know if there's any questions, any problems. I'm sorry, I've barely even acknowledged the comments in here. I'm going to go back and have a quick look. If you've got any questions, please let me know. Oh, Mitch, my beautiful VA has just put the promo code into the chat for you, so that for people who need it, please go ahead, have a look at that. Let me know if there's any questions. There's like 3 minutes till the end of my time frame. I'm going to jump off, but before I do, thank you, Lucia. Man alive, you put some work into setting this up, and I am so impressed with who you pulled together, the way you've done it. It is so professional. My hat goes off to you, woman. You and your team have done an amazing, amazing job. I appreciate all of you. Have an amazing day, but for now, it's bye from me.